Americans are sitting on $1.2 trillion in credit card debt right now. That number jumped 60% in just 4 years. But here's what's wild. Most people treating credit cards like free money have no idea they're trapped in a cycle that's designed to keep them paying forever. The credit card companies aren't hiding this, they're counting on it. Here's the reality check nobody wants to hear. When someone swipes a credit card for a $50 dinner and doesn't pay it off, that meal doesn't cost $50. With average interest rates sitting at 22.8% in 2026, that dinner could end up costing $65 or more. The person just paid 30% extra for the same food. Think about that. A third more money for literally nothing. This isn't a lecture about never using credit cards. Credit cards are actually one of the most powerful financial tools available when used correctly. The problem is that 47% of credit card holders carry a balance month to month, which means nearly half of all card holders are paying interest on purchases that happened weeks or months ago. They're essentially paying extra for things they've already consumed and forgotten about. But there's something even more disturbing about how this system actually works that most people never realize. Number 1. Understanding what a credit card actually is. Think of a credit card like a fishing line. The credit limit is how much line the fisherman has. Every purchase is casting the line out further. Paying the balance in full is reeling it all the way back in. But carrying a balance is like trying to reel in the line while the fisherman keeps letting more line out. The person never gets back to shore. They're just stuck in the middle of the ocean, reeling and reeling but never making real progress. Credit cards aren't money. They're loans. Every single time someone swipes a credit card, they're borrowing money from a bank with the promise they'll pay it back. That's it. There's no magic happening. The bank is saying, here's some money, use it now, pay us back later. And oh, by the way, if you don't pay us back in full by the due date, we're charging you a fee for that service. The fee is interest. And in 2026, that interest averages between 19.7% and 23.8%, depending on the card. Therefore, if someone has a $1,000 balance and only pays the minimum payment of about $27 per month, it'll take them 5 years to pay it off. 5 years. And in those 5 years, they'll have paid an extra $582 in interest alone. But here's where it gets worse. Credit card companies use something called compound interest. This means they're not just charging interest on the original amount borrowed, they're charging interest on the interest, every single day. Here's how that works in practice. Say someone has a credit card with a 20% APR and a $1,000 balance. The credit card company divides that 20% by 365 days, which gives them a daily rate of about 0.055%. Seems tiny, right? But every single day, they multiply that daily rate by the current balance. So on day 1, 55 cents gets added to the balance. On day 2, they're charging interest on $1,000 and the 55 cents from yesterday. On day 3, they're charging interest on all of that, plus the new interest from day 2. This compounds every single day for the entire month. By the end of just 30 days, that $1,000 balance has grown by about $16 in interest. And if that person only pays the minimum, most of that payment goes toward interest, not the actual purchase. The debt barely moves. But what happens when someone carries this balance for years? The answer is more shocking than most people think. Number 2, the psychology trap that credit card companies use. Credit card companies have spent billions of dollars studying human psychology. They know exactly how to make people spend more money than they would with cash. It's not an accident. It's by design. Research shows that people spend 12 to 18% more when using credit cards compared to cash. Why? Because swiping a card or tapping a phone doesn't feel like real money leaving. There's no physical pain of handing over bills and watching them disappear. It's abstract. It's later. The brain doesn't process it the same way. Therefore, credit card companies make their cards as easy to use as possible. Tap to pay. One-click checkout online. Saved payment information. No PIN required under certain amounts. They remove every possible friction point between the person and the purchase. But it gets even more calculated than that. Credit card companies send pre-approved offers in the mail with terms like, "You're already approved," or "Exclusive offer just for you." They make people feel special. They make it feel like an opportunity rather than debt. The language is carefully crafted to trigger emotional responses rather than logical thinking. Then there are reward programs. Cashback, points, miles. These programs are brilliant from a business perspective because they encourage people to spend more to earn more rewards. Someone might justify an unnecessary purchase by thinking, well, at least this is getting me 2% back. But that 2% reward means nothing if they're paying 20% interest on the balance. The math doesn't work. If someone spends $1,000 to get $20 back in rewards, but then carries that balance and pays $200 in interest over time, they didn't win. The credit card company did. And there's one psychological trick they use that's even more powerful than rewards. Something that happens every single time someone opens their wallet. Number 3, the minimum payment trap. The minimum payment is one of the most dangerous features on a credit card statement. It looks helpful. It looks manageable. It's designed to keep people in debt for years. Credit card companies typically set the minimum payment at about 2 to 3% of the total balance. So on a $5,000 balance, the minimum might be around $100 to $150. That feels doable for most people. But paying only the minimum is like trying to empty a bathtub with a teaspoon while the faucet is still running. Let's look at real numbers. Someone with $6,000 in credit card debt at a 20% APR who pays the minimum payment will take over 15 years to pay it off. 15 years. And they'll end up paying more than $8,000 in interest on top of the original $6,000. They'll have paid more than double what they actually borrowed. The credit card company doesn't hide this information. It's right there on the statement in tiny print that says something like, "If you make only the minimum payment, you will pay off the balance shown in about 15 years." But most people don't read that. They see the minimum amount due and think, okay, this is manageable this month, without considering the long-term cost. Therefore, the minimum payment becomes a trap that keeps people paying forever. The credit card company gets years of interest payments while the person's debt barely decreases. It's profitable for the bank and devastating for the cardholder. But there's a real story that shows just how devastating this trap can be. A 34-year-old teacher in Ohio had a credit card balance of about $8,000. Nothing crazy, just accumulated purchases over a couple years. Car repairs, holiday gifts, a few emergency vet bills. She made every minimum payment on time, never missed one. After 3 years of consistent payments totaling over $5,000, she checked her balance. It had only gone down to $7,200. She'd paid $5,000 and reduced her debt by only $800. The rest went to interest. She realized at that rate, she'd be paying off those long-forgotten purchases until she was almost 50 years old. That's when the reality hit her. The minimum payment wasn't helping her get out of debt. It was designed to keep her in it. So what did she do differently? That strategy is coming up, but first, there's something about how interest actually works that changes everything. Number 4, how interest actually works, the thing nobody explains. Most people have heard the term APR, which stands for annual percentage rate. They know it's related to interest. But very few people actually understand how credit card interest is calculated and applied to their balance. Here's the truth. Despite being called an annual percentage rate, credit card interest isn't charged once per year. It's charged daily and compounds monthly. This is crucial to understand because it makes the actual cost significantly higher than people expect. The credit card company takes the APR and divides it by 365 to get the daily periodic rate. Then, every single day, they multiply the current balance by this daily rate. That daily interest gets added to the balance. The next day, they calculate interest on the new higher balance. This continues every day until the statement closes. For example, with a 21% APR and a $3,000 balance, the daily rate is about 0.058%. That's roughly $1.74 added to the balance every single day. Over a 30-day billing cycle, that's about $52 in interest. But if the person only pays the minimum payment of about $60, only $8 actually reduces the principal balance. Therefore, someone could make payments every single month and barely make any progress on paying down the actual debt. Most of their payment just covers the interest that accumulated over the last month. The original purchases they made months or years ago are still sitting there on the balance. This is why the average American with credit card debt has a balance of about $7,886, according to 2025 data. And 61% of people with credit card debt have been in debt for at least a year. Once someone falls into this cycle, it becomes incredibly difficult to escape without a major change in strategy. But there's one feature of credit cards that most people don't know about, and it completely reverses this equation. Number 5. The grace period, the only way to use credit cards smart. Here's the thing about credit cards that changes everything. There's a feature called the grace period, and it's the difference between credit cards being a trap and being a useful tool. The grace period is typically 21 to 25 days between the end of the billing cycle and the payment due date. During this time, if someone pays their balance in full, they pay zero interest, nothing. The credit card company loans them money for free for about 3 weeks. This is how credit cards are supposed to be used. Buy things during the month. When the statement comes, pay the entire balance by the due date. No interest gets charged. The person gets to use the credit card for convenience, security, fraud protection, and rewards without ever paying a penny in interest. But the grace period only works if the balance gets paid in full every single month. If someone carries any balance from the previous month, they typically lose the grace period on new purchases. This means new purchases start accruing interest immediately from the purchase date, not from the statement date. Therefore, the smartest way to use a credit card is simple. Treat it like a debit card. Only buy things that could be paid for with cash right now. When the statement comes, pay it in full. Never carry a balance. Never pay interest. Use the credit card as a tool for convenience and protection, not as an extension of income. But what about people who say they can't pay in full? What about emergencies? That's where the real cost reveals itself. Number 6. The real cost of carrying balances. Let's talk about what carrying a credit card balance actually costs in real terms, not percentages. Real money. Americans collectively owe $1.233 trillion in credit card debt as of late 2025. This number has increased by 60% since 2021. With average interest rates around 22%, credit card companies are collecting massive amounts of interest every single month. For individuals, carrying a balance means paying for past purchases over and over again. That vacation taken last summer? If it went on a credit card and hasn't been paid off, that person is still paying for it months later with interest. The memories are gone, but the payments continue. Here's a concrete example. Someone charges a $3,000 emergency car repair on a credit card with a 22% APR. Paying $100 per month, it'll take 38 months to pay it off, over 3 years. And they'll have paid an extra $896 in interest. That car repair actually cost nearly $4,000. But it gets worse with everyday purchases on carried balances. Coffee, groceries, gas, dinner out, streaming subscriptions. If the balance doesn't get paid in full each month, the person ends up paying 20 to 25% more for everything they bought. Everything costs more. Not because prices went up, because the person is voluntarily paying interest. A $50 grocery trip becomes $62 with interest. A $200 phone bill becomes $248. This adds up to thousands of extra dollars paid every year for absolutely nothing. If someone carries an average balance of $5,000 for 10 years at 22% APR while making minimum payments, they could end up paying over $15,000 in interest alone. $15,000 that bought nothing, just vanished into interest payments. And that's assuming the balance doesn't grow. which it often does. But there's another cost people pay that isn't even listed on the statement. Number 7. The annual fee trap nobody talks about. Credit cards come in different varieties, and some charge annual fees ranging from $95 to $500 or more. The pitch is usually that the rewards and perks offset the annual fee. Travel credits, lounge access, high cashback rates, premium benefits. But here's what financial experts found. Most people pay for benefits they never use. Someone might pay a $250 annual fee for airport lounge access, but only fly once or twice a year. They could have just bought lounge access for those specific trips for way less money. Another common mistake is paying annual fees to use exclusive or fancy cards when a no annual fee card would serve the same purpose. It's the status symbol trap. People want the premium card because it feels important or successful, not because the benefits actually match their spending habits and lifestyle. Therefore, the smart move is to evaluate whether an annual fee actually makes sense based on real usage. If someone travels constantly and uses all the travel credits and lounge access and insurance benefits, then yeah, the annual fee might be worth it. But if they're paying the fee just to have the card in their wallet and aren't actively using the benefits every year, they're wasting money. And this becomes even worse if the person is carrying a balance on that premium card. They're paying the annual fee and paying interest on their balance. The rewards they might be earning get completely wiped out by the interest charges. It makes no financial sense. So if annual fees and interest charges are both working against someone, when do rewards actually help? Number 8. The rewards game and when it actually works. Credit card rewards can be genuinely valuable if used correctly. Cashback, points, miles, these programs can return hundreds or even thousands of dollars per year. But the key phrase is used correctly. Rewards only make sense when the balance gets paid in full every month. If someone earns 2% cash back but pays 22% interest on a carried balance, they're losing money. The interest costs 11 times more than the rewards earn. But when used strategically, rewards add up. Someone who puts regular expenses on a cashback card, groceries, gas, bills, subscriptions, and pays the balance in full monthly might earn $500 to $1,000 or more per year. That's real money for purchases that would have been made anyway. The problem is, credit card companies know human psychology. They know many people who open cards for rewards will end up carrying balances and paying interest. Studies show people spend more when using rewards cards because they're chasing points. That increased spending leads to carried balances, which leads to interest charges that dwarf any rewards. Therefore, rewards are a tool that only works for disciplined users. Someone who treats their credit card like a debit card, tracks spending carefully, and pays the full balance every month can come out ahead. Everyone else is likely losing money. But there's one more thing about rewards that the credit card companies hope people never figure out. Here's the moment of truth. Most people in their 30s are making the same credit card mistakes they made in their 20s. Carrying balances, paying minimums, chasing rewards while paying interest, and the cost compounds year after year. Every dollar paid in interest is a dollar that could have been invested or saved. A person who pays $300 per month in credit card interest for 10 years has given away $36,000. That's a down payment on a house. That's a fully funded emergency fund. Instead, it went to interest on purchases they probably don't even remember. Credit cards are not free money. They're a financial tool that can either help build wealth or destroy it. The difference comes down to one behavior: paying the balance in full every single month versus carrying a balance. When paid in full, credit cards offer convenience, fraud protection, rewards, and credit score improvement without costing a penny in interest. The credit card company essentially provides a free 3-week loan plus benefits. But when balances get carried, everything flips. Interest charges of 20 to 25% apply. The grace period disappears. The minimum payment trap kicks in, where most payments go toward interest instead of principal. The credit card companies aren't villains. They're transparent about the terms. The APR is listed. The minimum payment warning is on the statement. Therefore, The responsibility falls on the user. Every swipe is a choice. Every carried balance is a choice. Those choices have real financial consequences that compound over time. The person who understands credit cards as a tool will use them strategically. Pay balances in full. Maximize rewards. Build credit score. Never pay interest. Come out ahead. The person who treats credit cards as free money will carry balances, pay thousands in interest over their lifetime, get trapped in the minimum payment cycle, watch debt grow even as payments are made. Remember that teacher from Ohio? The one who paid $5,000 over 3 years and barely made a dent in her debt? She made one simple change. She stopped using the card and started throwing every extra dollar at the balance. Picked up weekend tutoring gigs, sold stuff she didn't need, cut back on eating out. Within 18 months, she paid off the entire balance. She said the weight that lifted when she made that final payment was unlike anything she'd expected. Not just financial relief, emotional freedom. The math doesn't lie. With $1.2 trillion in credit card debt and rates above 22%, credit card companies collect massive interest from people who carry balances. Every dollar paid in interest could have been saved or invested instead. The alternative is simple, but requires discipline. Use credit cards as a tool, not as free money. Only charge what can be paid off in full. Take advantage of rewards without ever paying interest. Build credit through responsible usage. Never think that a credit limit equals extra income. The credit limit isn't extra money. It's the maximum amount the bank will lend, knowing most people will pay interest. The rewards aren't free gifts. They're marketing tools to encourage spending. The minimum payment isn't helpful. It's designed to keep people in debt for years. Understanding these realities transforms how credit cards get used. They become a powerful tool instead of a trap. They build credit instead of destroying it. They help build wealth instead of bleeding it away through interest payments.